Hi, this is Sam Dorman. I'm going to give you a behind-the-scenes tour of the Rucksack, which is a very cool project that I did with IAVA, Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America, that helps them distribute rewards to their members. It's an example of a force.com site, which means it's completely integrated with their Salesforce database. It's basically built on top of their Salesforce database. First, I should mention that the front end, this beautiful front end design, was done by Biro Creative, and the back-end Salesforce development was done by Ethereos. And I managed and led the project, working closely with IAVA staff, in particular Daniel Atwood and Katie Van Langen. And I also did all the Salesforce configuration as well. The whole thing actually was done in 6 weeks from kickoff to launch, so it was a pretty amazing team effort in a really short time frame. So a bit of background. As I mentioned, the Rucksack allows IAVA to distribute rewards to their members at a scale that they never would have been able to before. When they struck a huge partnership that was going to allow them to give away thousands of tickets to hundreds of events around the country, they knew that they would drown under the coordination of it unless they got a really solid system to handle it. So that's what the Rucksack became. So a few key points I'm going to highlight about why this was such a strong solution for them. One, like I mentioned, is how it really enabled them to scale. How it automated the business processes that used to eat up tons of staff time. How it really ensured a lot of efficiency and accuracy, eliminated human error. We set it up with a really flexible configuration, so we fit the system around the program rather than vice versa. And it's completely integrated with their existing systems. So I'll talk a little more about those, but let's start with that last one. So what does it mean that it was completely integrated? So we had already implemented a Salesforce database where IAVA was tracking everything relevant to their work, and that includes membership, for instance. So instead of building a whole separate website and trying to figure out how to keep data in sync between the websites, this site, being a force.com site, is just built on top of Salesforce. So everything that appears on the front end of the site is completely managed right in their Salesforce database. And that allows us to make sure that it's really flexible in its configuration. So here's an example. Here's a listing for a reward. Everything about that reward is configurable right in the database. So not just the text that appears, but also even how it behaves. They can designate it as a first come first served award or a premium screened award where the winners have to be selected. Based on the selections they make, the site behaves in the appropriate way. If it's an event, they can give it a single date or multiple dates. They can make it available immediately or set it to come available at a future date. They can designate whether it should have a waitlist option, and so forth and so on. Another example, on the reward claim page, when a member is claiming a reward, there's several options. They can require that the member has to confirm that they're 21 to claim the reward. They can designate whether they want to ask them for the quantity of tickets. Do they want to require a long form response to a specific question? All of those are changes that they can easily make in the database. So just by managing their database, they're actually managing the website itself. So it's really super flexible. It covers all the scenarios that they need for the rewards program. And to get to that point, we really worked through all of these details right from the start, so we knew exactly what we needed to build. Even in a crazy 6-week time frame, I spent a couple weeks together with IAVA on the phone at the outset just nailing down all of those requirements, since we knew that there wouldn't be enough time to figure them out as we went along and have to switch gears and go backtrack. So we hammered that all out at the very outset. So why else is it so important that it's built directly in the Salesforce database? So here's another good example. When a member claims a reward, the system checks their information against IAVA's member files to make sure it's a confirmed member. So obviously it needs access to their member records. Or if they're not a member yet, they can easily start that process right here, which is also entirely managed and automated within Salesforce. So for both of those scenarios, it's really essential that the site runs off the same system, or at least has access to the same system as their existing membership database. In fact, the whole site really operates like this. A couple other examples. There's a listing of IAVA's partners who have donated, all these great rewards. So all of that's also maintained in the database, so IAVA can really easily make those changes as partners are added or removed from their program. They don't have to call a web designer to do anything like that. Same thing goes for frequently asked questions. As they start to receive certain questions over and over from members, they can easily just add a new FAQ record to their database, and then that makes it appear on the front end in the FAQ section. So again, it's real easy for them to maintain it. They don't have to call designers or coders for every change. They can just do it all themselves. Very powerful. Another really powerful feature that results from the site living on top of Salesforce is that we can take advantage of what's called business process automation. That's kind of a mouthful, but basically it means that the system automatically handles a lot of the time-consuming stuff that the staff used to do by hand. So that's a big advantage in terms of efficiency and accuracy. So essentially what's happening here is that the system is watching for certain changes, and when it sees those changes, it can take appropriate action. So for example, as soon as they change that request status to final confirmation, the system sees that and shoots off the confirmation email to the member with instructions for how to claim that reward. So that way staff aren't spending all day calling and emailing members, they just make the right change in the system in the back end and it takes care of the rest. There's other ways that the business logic is automated as well. For instance, when a reward fills up, it either kicks into waitlist mode or it closes itself, depending on how staff has designated that reward. So staff don't have to worry about overfilling a reward or remembering to go back in on the day a reward closes. It all just takes care of itself. And in fact, when the reward fills up or the deadline passes, the appropriate staff member also gets a notification so they can go in and do whatever they need to do, such as exporting the winners' names and sending them off to the venue or whatever it may be. Tons of stuff is handled automatically and the staff has defined at what points they want to get brought into the process. Without that automation, adding a website like this would require just a ton of staff time, just to manage all the traffic and fulfillment of everything. So this is a really powerful feature in terms of efficiency and manageability. As a side note, here you're seeing this great custom interface that Ethereal's built for the reward requests that come in. So staff can either select individual members and change their status, which automatically causes them to get the right notification, or the staff can change the records en masse. So if you imagine a reward that might have hundreds or thousands of requests, rather than having to go into each record to change it one by one, you can just change all the statuses at once. So it's a major time saver, makes it really easy for the staff. A couple other interesting technical things in here, like there's a geolocation search that Ethereal's built to enable searching within a certain radius of a zip code. Also, we've been working with some folks on a mobile phone app that actually accesses the Rucksack as a web service. So that's a pretty interesting development as well. So when this was launched, IAVA really put their weight behind it, and they did some really innovative things at launch, and the system worked beautifully. They saw their signups shoot through the roof, new signups. They saw member confirmation shoot through the roof, and just a lot of great stories came rolling in. They were able to distribute thousands of new suits to veterans as part of this veteran employment initiative that they run. They gave away thousands of free tickets to hundreds of sporting events all around the country where veterans got to come enjoy themselves, but then also socialize and connect with their fellow veterans, and sometimes even for the first time since their service. And members passed the word on to their friends, and many people who came in through those events have since become more deeply involved. They've been able to access great services and support that IAVA offers and become more active members in all of their programs. So that was the concept behind the Rucksack, and as it emerged, it really surpassed, I think, even the expectations that IAVA had for it. The project has been a great innovative step forward for them, but I think we'll see that it's actually just the beginning. The experience has sort of blown the doors open by giving them a taste of what's possible now that they're using strong CRM tracking systems as a backbone for their smart, authentic engagement strategy. So I expect we'll continue to see innovative, cutting-edge work out of IAVA for quite a while to come. So that's the behind-the-scenes Rucksack tour. I think it's a great example of a project that succeeded on strategic, technical, and programmatic grounds. And the fact that we pulled it off in 6 weeks is pretty amazing in terms of execution as well. So it was a real privilege to lead this project. Thanks again to the all-star team that helped make it happen. And of course, thanks to IAVA and its impressive staff and membership. If you want to participate in or support IAVA's important work, go to iava.org and find out how to get involved. Thanks.